Since the 1970s, gender has become an important category of analysis in the sociology of sport. Research has clearly demonstrated that sports are gendered activities as well as social contexts in which boys and men are more actively and enthusiastically encouraged to participate, compared with girls and women. Evidence also shows that more males than females participate in organized competitive sports, and that male dominance characterizes the administration and coaching of sports. Sports, it is theorized, operate as a site for the inculcation, perpetuation, and celebration of a type of heterosexual masculine identity based on physical dominance, aggression, and competitiveness. Associated with such masculine imagery, sports serve to legitimize a perceived natural superiority of men and reinforce the inferiority of females who are defined with reference to relative weakness, passivity, and grace. The characteristics of femininity, therefore, sports are often described as a male preserve.
Newcastle Jets under 16 side, so a top young, under 16 team in Australia. But my point being that I should think even in the last 2 years, there's been an improvement in the women's game. We should focus on that rather than the comparison with men, because women will never beat men at football. Physiologically, they won't be able to. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. It's not a sexist comment to say that.
No, and I
That's
accept
a reality.
that on strength and power and physicality, I accept that you're right. My point is that whether on skill, they could beat them.
Well, Serena Williams is a very skillful tennis player, right? She's the most skillful tennis player in the history of women's tennis.
Also very powerful.
Right, but she would be comprehensively thrashed by any of the top 100 men in the world. She said it herself.
Top 100?
She said it herself. I suspect it's more than that, right? Doesn't mean she's not skillful.
I can't believe
it means she's
true.
not as skillful.
I can't believe that's true with Serena.
She said it herself.
But has she put it to the test?
Top 100 male golfers would beat the best female golfer of all time easily. They would thrash her. It doesn't mean that she's bad or not skillful. It means she's better than any other woman that's played the game. But she wouldn't be in the top 100 men. It's a physiological thing. Men are going to be generally more powerful, taller, faster,
No, I get
more
all that.
powerful.
I get all that.
So I think this
I'm just going with
comparison with
skill.
men is actually a bit fatuous. It's a bit pointless. It's not a comparison that should be made. It should be how far has the women's game of football come in the last 5 years.
You were the one who made the comparison.
Well, only because you barged in with them as skillful as the men. They're not.
You said you started off the debate by saying, but they would be beaten comprehensively by men.
You said they're
I've
not
literally
as
just
skillful.
showed you a story that said the Australian national
Yeah, but
women's
you
team,
started the
which
debate
were number 5
by
in the world, got
comparing
beaten
the two.
7-0 by a bunch of 15-year-old boys.
That's right.
My point is that I was trying to pay a compliment to women's football, which is actually,
By
it's
saying
come on a
they'd be
long
beaten
way.
comprehensively by men.
No, they just wouldn't beat the men. That doesn't mean they're bad, it just means they wouldn't beat the men.
Throughout the past 100 years, gender roles of men and women have started to change greatly in our society, and especially in the world of sports. Recently, female athletes have made great strides in gaining equal representation and media coverage in comparison to the past. Where there was little coverage of female athletics, in addition, women have begun to participate in many sports that have previously been male-dominated. Some of these sports, such as MMA and hockey, have been perceived as manly sports, and many feel that women should not participate in them due to their physically demanding nature. However, even though many female athletes have been discouraged from participating in male-dominated sports, women have continued to break stereotypes and cultural barriers that have prevented them from participating in manly sports. Female athletes such as Danica Patrick, Michelle Weil, and Gina Carano have become role models for many younger female athletes by proving that they too can compete and succeed in sports that have been dominated by men. This shows how women have considerably changed how they are viewed in the sporting world by challenging stereotypes against them. With the evolution of gender roles in our society, we have started to see women participate in certain sports that were at one time only associated with one gender. The relationship between sport and gender is often more on the transformative potential of sports to challenge or alter gender norms. Although the participation of women and girls in sport remains largely imbalanced when compared to participation among men and boys. Consistent and continued participation of women and girls in sport has had a major impact on achieving gender equality in the community, especially in urban areas. Girls' participation in the KSA Uganda football program appears related to the way male football players perceive their roles. Boys are observed to have adopted a positive and supportive attitude towards their female counterparts participating in the program. Participation in the program has become synonymous with being aware of gendered roles and norms. If we talk about opportunities for women's and girls leadership and achievement sports program provide women and girls with opportunities to develop leadership skills. The KSA Uganda provides opportunities for participants to compete and train, as well as participate directly in developing the organization and overseeing governance.
Okay, now how many of those were co-ed or mixed gendered, as opposed to just men's or just women's? You can probably count the answer on one hand. Why is this the case? Well, there are a number of reasons, but the key one is this. We make the assumption that men and women are so fundamentally physiologically different that they cannot and should not compete together. I'd like to suggest that assumption is wrong, and that we can reimagine sports to be more gender inclusive, not only so that men and women can compete together, but people of all genders too. Sports have always been a big part of my life, from soccer growing up to ultimate frisbee now. This is a picture of me at a recent ultimate frisbee tournament, while this is me from about 3 years ago. You can probably tell I look a little bit different now, and that's because I'm transgender.
The girls' football programs the provision of possibilities to develop specialized skills in coaching, refereeing, training, league organization, as well as access to information on health and peer education is of great value to the participants of these programs. Exposure to competing internationally is seen to add a boost to public recognition of the skills that women and girls can develop through sports. About the coaching system in sports, there is a significant underrepresentation of female coaches across all fields and levels of sports. Women represent a small minority of the coaches employed in elite sports. The percentage of female coaches tends to decrease the higher the level of performance. Female coaches are more likely to train athletes enrolled in typical women's sports rather than in traditional men's sports, almost exclusively training either women, youth, or children.